Good day, and welcome to the League of Women Voters of Bellingham-Whatcom County Forum for Candidates for the Sumas City Council. My name is Kathy Washatka, and I'm your moderator for today's forum. The land we stand on is the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Lummi and Nooksack people, the original inhabitants of Washington's northernmost coast and southern British Columbia. Please join me in deep gratitude for their ongoing wisdom and guidance as we honor their ancestors and acknowledge the Lummi and Nooksack people as the original inhabitants of this land. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. Our mission is empowering voters, defending democracy, and to that end, we provide candidate forums so that voters can make informed voting decisions. The League never endorses a candidate or a party. Membership is open to both men and women, 16 years and older, and we invite all of you to join us. We say democracy is not a spectator sport. With that, let's get started. And today's forum is, as I said, for the Sumas City Council, and there's one seat with two candidates on the ballot. So I'd like to introduce for County Council Position 2, Sumas Council Position 2, Richard Postma and Brett Egbert. We will follow specific rules for this debate. There will be no opening statements. Instead, the introductory question is tailored to elicit responses consistent with opening statements. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question, and we'll make a 1-minute closing statement. So I will alert you when we're at the last question, and then you'll know that closing is coming up. The order of questions and closing statement is by seat alphabetically, and they will be rotated every question. Each candidate has a challenge card. Can you wave your cards so everyone knows what that looks like? And they may use this card to challenge or rebut their opponent's response. After being recognized by the moderator, the challenging candidate will have 30 seconds to state the challenge, and the opponent will have 30 seconds to respond to the challenge. Each candidate may use their challenge card once. Timer Eileen McCracken will be tracking the time, which is on your screen. The timer background will flash to yellow when there are 15 seconds left, and then to red when time is out. So please pay attention to that, because I don't want to have to ask you to stop talking. We ask that the candidates be respectful of the time allotted. Due to the limited amount of time that we have and our desire to include as many questions as possible. So with the rules covered, let's get started. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, good. We're going to start with Brett. And the first question is, what's the most significant opportunity you see for Sumas?
So, significant opportunity. For me, and this is kind of just what my whole, I guess, platform is just it's communication and connection. You know, we are a small community, and this is a small race we're talking about realistically hundreds of votes. You know, this is very small time, especially if you're glued to the news and how big everything else is. But for me, you know, it's kind of the same reason why I really liked teaching high school, because I'm a former high school math teacher, is that connection with these smaller local communities. And so, you know, this is a very local thing where it is Sumas, it is our city council, it's our friends and our neighbors who are there, whether I'm there as an actual member or just a resident sitting in the audience, you know, you recognize and you see the people there. This isn't just a crowd. And so for me, it's the opportunity to enhance that communication and collaboration and just really enhance the community. And so some of that is looking at ways that some of the communication that happens at community council is as easily as possible, you know, ingested by other people. So whether that's, you know, currently it seems like it's a mixture of sharing on social media or trying to find meeting notes on the Sumas website. You know, there are things in place, But for me, it's like really, really removing the barriers so that the information we have, whether it's collaborative or a new initiative or something, is easy to find, easy to understand, and easy to locate way down the road when things have changed.
Thank you. Rich.
Yep.
Same question.
Well, same, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Same question.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Brett on that. Yeah, communication is utmost, when you're dealing with the public, and especially in a small town, you're going to run into all these people periodically, and they're all going to have questions about different things. And to be available to answer all their questions is truly a blessing in a small town, because you see everybody. It's not always somebody new. And uh, I believe that that's the ultimate goal, is to be very communicative and be available to answer the questions that they have. There's not a whole lot going on in our small towns, so it can be pretty quiet for quite a while. But we do at times have some pretty interesting topics going on, and they affect everybody in town. And that's where your decision has to be based on, is what's best for the people of the town, and being available to answer those questions when they arise, and being straight and honest with them, letting them know if we have an answer or if we don't have an answer, if we're working on it or if we're looking further into it. Some decisions can't be made at the spur of the moment. So I believe that's where we have to be.
Thank you. Okay, Rich, this one's for you. What specific actions will you support to improve flood infrastructure and emergency response in Sumas?
Oh boy. Yeah. There's a lot of different avenues you can take with the flood issue. People have all got all different types of ideas. A lot of them are great ideas. Some of them are not so. Some are expensive. Some are worth trying. I would like to see us at least try something right now. We haven't really tried anything since the flood. So the ball field is wide open right now. We could start with something and just see how it goes. I realize funding is the biggest issue to do anything major, but it's the little things that we could do too that could make a difference, and see if that would work. Cleaning ditches, dredging the rivers, raising homes like we're doing now. Is raising homes the real answer? Maybe the water will get higher than those someday. You don't know. But at least trying something would be helpful to the people in the town, knowing that something is going on. And right now there is nothing going on. It's pretty quiet on the county side and the state side and the federal side. So anything they do would be truly helpful.
Thank you. Brett.
So it's super tricky because it's a problem that is significantly larger than our community. So obviously, as the people here living in Sumas, we have a flood, and that was one of my first real welcome to Sumas encounters, was the flood and the cleanup and just seeing that kind of devastation. But it doesn't start or end with us. And so the real answer is the mitigation techniques and the things that we need to do to like really address this aren't Sumas problems, but Sumas is part of it. We have to be part of the conversations. We have to be part of the solution, but there's really nothing, to solve the issue that we can necessarily do, because even if we had the perfect plan, fully mitigated any future flood somehow, the magic device, the floodwaters go somewhere. If we fix it for ourselves, now it's a problem for our neighboring communities. And honestly, this viewpoint is one that I've gained from attending the current city council and as they've been talking about it. It's a larger problem than just us, because our whole community, whether that's across the border to Canada or, just in the surrounding Whatcom area, we're all going to feel the same effects. And the mitigation efforts that we do have to kind of coincide with each other. They have to speak to each other. We can't make a problem worse for our neighbors just to improve our own situation. But there are things that, raising houses, like Rich mentioned, there's things that we can be doing to try and help. But the actual solving of floods is just, it's collaboration. It's being involved and recognizing that it's a problem way bigger than just us.
Thank you. Brett, you're up again. How do you view the proposed expansion of the Sumas Land Port of Entry? If elected, what steps will you take to ensure any expansion brings benefits to the city without negative impacts on business, neighborhoods, and infrastructure?
So for me, and this is, whether we're talking about, border expansion, or honestly, even some of the potential approaches we could take on flooding, or, some of the businesses that we're choosing to bring into it. For all of those, my viewpoint's kind of the same. I live here. I want to be around here. And while obviously we need businesses, and the border crossing is a huge, draw of businesses either direction, and it facilitates all that, I want, above anything else, for it to just be a place that's nice to be in. And for me, that involves walking my dog around town, walking to the grocery store, walking to community council, walking to the library that Rich is currently sitting in. And, I'm not going to pretend like I've got all the information about, what that border expansion fully entails. But for me, that's the things that I've got my mind on is, what does that do for the actual act of living here? Because if, the traffic becomes an issue where, that's part of the things I love about this is traffic's not a thing. We don't have stoplights in town. Sometimes we get a couple of semi trucks backed up, and that's about it. And so a border expansion, really understanding, well, what does that mean for the people who are actually living here? For me, walking around town and traffic being diverted, for just the expansion and the noise and the light pollution that comes with things like that. I'm not saying that that's necessarily inherently a bad thing, but for me, those are the aspects of the expansion that I'm concerned about, because I'm here because I like being here. I want to enjoy living here, and I want just the act of living in Sumas to not be negatively impacted by these things.
Thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, we definitely don't want to build a huge, gigantic border crossing here, because I don't think the town itself could handle that much traffic coming in and out of here. We don't have the roads built for them. We don't have the sidewalks and streets made up for all this type of traffic coming through town. I feel if we could utilize what we have a little bit better would be a useful idea to try. There's several lanes that aren't even ever opened up. So it tells me that there is potential to try something there. To keep Sumas in a small perspective, that's why everybody seems to be living here, is because it's a small town. They like the small town feel. And I think with a huge, gigantic customs coming in, it might change the whole atmosphere. And we don't have a whole lot of room to expand from here as far as growth. We're kind of limited to where we can go. And our only option is really to either go south or west. And, if the farmers aren't ready to give up their land, you can't blame them. They need the land themselves. So that's our only real option. And yeah, we'll just have to see how the government feels about it.
Okay, thank you. You're up now, Rich. If elected, what actions would you propose to support existing business, encourage new business, and advance economic vitality in light of past flood damage and ongoing changes to border traffic?
Man, well, to get business here is a tough goal. It is. We don't have a whole lot of places for small little businesses to start. Our streets are pretty well filled up with buildings already that are occupied. Some aren't, but some are. Our industrial park is starting to fill up, so we're kind of limited there. The idea is to work with the county, work with the state and the city, all to try to get together on trying to come up with a plan that works best, not only for the city, but it benefits the state and the county also with these new businesses. If it means tax breaks for some of the smaller businesses, then that might have to be something we have to look at. We would love nothing more than to have a quick food chain in here too. I mean, there is plenty of traffic that comes through town here, but a lot of them look at it, well, there's not enough people, so they don't even look at coming into town here. But the businesses that are here, they're doing a fantastic job. They're struggling through the hard times, and they help out in every supportive group that we need help with. If it means giving money to an organization or a fundraiser or community days for the city, they're all willing to step up to the plate and help us out in any way they can.
Thank you. Brett?
Yeah. And, maybe I've officially converted to small town life after being here for the last while. But I mean, my immediate thought of the business to support is thinking of those very, very small time businesses. If you're on our social media, the Sumas Facebook group and the people who tend to post there, what you see a lot is not necessarily the I have a storefront sort of businesses, but you've got, the people who are doing baked goods or their own crafts that they're making and trying to sell, more kind of farmers market tier stuff. And I realize that that's not the big solution to the big problem. But for me, I mean, that's the sort of people that we need to be promoting and helping to find ways to facilitate the things that they're doing, whether that's providing storefronts or increased, collaboration, communication, places that not just through external, I'm on Facebook and I can post things. Well, that's for Facebook. But what about something that's facilitated through the city itself, a storefront that's either physical or digital to help people communicate the different things that they've got going on? Obviously we want to try and drive bigger businesses in here because, even just the fact of less traffic. If I live in town and work in town, I don't have to drive as far, and that's just kind of a win. But I think also the people who are kind of almost more on the side hustle category, where they are skilled laborers and they've got something cool that they've made that's either edible or a decoration or something, but it's something that is Sumas grown, Sumas made. And those are the sorts of things that I think we need to do a better job of providing both a digital and physical home for.
Thank you. Okay, Brett, you're first up. Given the need for safe pedestrian travel in town, especially for children and older residents, what infrastructure or policy changes would you propose to improve safety on the roads, crossings, sidewalks, and lighting?
So lighting's an easy one because the only light we have in town is the border crossing. And that's honestly pretty great. I love bragging about our no stoplight town. But for me with pedestrian travel, and I think this is a topic that, as far as I know, has been brought up quite a few times with council. And it's one of those problems it's bigger than just us, is, just crosswalks in the south side of town. I live up on the northern side. I'm walking around town. We got crosswalks pretty much everywhere. I don't feel unsafe walking around. We've got plenty of crosswalks and stop signs. And until you get to the southern part of town, once we kind of start hitting, kind of the Loca Mocha and Sumas drugstore. And those are local businesses that we would want to be walking to. It is our coffee shop. It is our local non-chain drugstore that sells day-to-day goods. And right now that has you crossing a highway with no crosswalks, and you've got to walk several blocks up and through town, which in a small town, that's half the town you're walking through. And so my understanding is some of those crosswalk situations are not a Sumas decision. It's us starting to deal with, a highway and things that are required outside of that. But for me, that's something we've got to figure out a solution for, because we're having more and more of our businesses that we expect people who live here to walk to interact with, and they're in the least walkable part of town. And so I don't know what the solution is, but that's something that I think we got to keep asking, even if it's been asked before.
Thank you. Rich.
Yeah, I have to agree with Brett on that. I think it's a pretty important topic, is to get crosswalks in town. Safety is for everybody, and it begins with crosswalks. Kids are walking across the street, but the problem is we have to deal with the state, and the state doesn't want them. So, our hands are tied. We can try to combat them, but it doesn't seem to always work. I have been noticing, like Brett said, the south side of town is getting more and more active with people, stopping for coffee, going for a walk out in the industrial park area. The wife and I have noticed quite a few people crossing the road right there at that major intersection there by the railroad tracks and the drugstore. And there is no crosswalk, but the state says, no, they don't want one there. Well, it's a 25-mile-an-hour road. If those people can't stop on a 25-mile-an-hour road, what more can you do to get them to get their attention? And we've watched a lot of people have to just wait their turn to go across because nobody stops. And that's disgusting to look at. We had an issue over there just east of town. There was on the Hovel Road. We wanted a crosswalk put there with the new development down by the ballparks and everything. A lot more kids coming from that development walking up Hovel Road to the school. And we kind of wanted a crosswalk right at Hovel. They didn't want to put a crosswalk in. So thankfully, our city crew came up with a bright idea to, just stay on that side of the road, put in a sidewalk, and go up to the next street where there was a crosswalk. I think that was a brilliant idea. It was a brilliant move on our part. And
That's your time. That's your time. I'm sorry, Rich.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is yours, Rich. What measures would you advance to increase housing options in Sumas?
The increased housing
Housing options.
options. Well, we definitely have to get some land into the city. I mean, I think every lot is pretty much filled out. Every area is filled up with homes. There's still several around that are still flooded yet. We don't know if the people are going to do anything about them. Maybe that means changing zoning in certain areas that have single homes on and getting more, multifamily homes. But right now, our biggest issue is trying to get some land into the city that we could use, because we're kind of boxed in right now as far as developing for homes. We're kind of limited, and that's our only real option is to either go south or to go to the west. And changing zoning to make it more multifamily, if people want to come in here and live. I know we've got great utility rates. It makes it attractive for a lot of families because it is a little bit cheaper place to live, which means then we better find some land to do it, which also means we need to do something with our industrial area too. They'll definitely want to expand. So yeah, we got to start looking at working with the county on changing some zonings.
Thank you. Brett.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like we attend the same meetings, and so it's tricky because part of it ties in with the whole flooding thing. There's obviously land around us. Obviously some of it's being used by the farmers, some of it's already being utilized for housing or businesses, and some of it is just stuff that we cannot use because we know that when the floods come, that land is not something that we can be on, at least under the current situations. But then also, as Rich said, we're kind of boxed in. So it's not like we've got, the borders that can keep sprawling out. And so our other options are increase kind of density. And so we can, build up, I guess, or replace buildings. But that kind of comes with its own hurdles. One of the kind of sagas that I witnessed happening in community council was kind of the whole debate on adding to new housing and whether it could be a duplex versus a triplex versus a quadplex. I don't know if that's the right word. And obviously, well, if we have 4 families there instead of 2, that's more people, that's more housing. But that also means now we're dealing with twice the amount of cars that need to be parked in that same amount of space. And so it's a complex question that honestly Sumas is in a weird spot with between the floods and just our physical land limitations. We don't have a lot of options, but getting the buildings and homes that we currently have back to livable and usable is something. We've still got homes that they're actively working on raising them and getting them livable again, but we've got abandoned homes in town now that we could be looking at.
Okay, thank you. Now this is going to be your last question, and then you'll do your closing statement. So Brett, we're going to start with you. The city of Sumas is currently in the comment period for updating its comprehensive plan. What outcomes would you like to see from this process?
Yeah, we've been slowly going over some of those, the comprehensive plan at our meetings, and it's this week we got chapters 1 through 5. And I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because I'm attending the every other meeting and hoping to catch some details I'm getting into there. But like all things for me, it's the communication of it. And so more than anything in the plan itself, I live here. I hope I've got strong opinions about some of the specifics, but above anything else, it's easy access to what is actually in that plan. How did it change from last year? And so, or from years past. And so we do have the Sumas City website. There's notes and plans that are on there, but I mean, at least for me, I haven't been able to easily tell what is the plan in place, what is the new plan, and how specifically are those changing. And so when I say that I think the information needs to be easy to find, easy to digest, that's what I'm talking about, because the bulk of people living here are like me, or even less knowledge than I have in terms of, if you're not going to community council, if you're not going to the city website, your amount of base knowledge you have is inherently lower because you haven't had those same updates. And so finding ways to get the information that is crucial, that's involved in these plans and these councils, to just make it easily findable, digestible, understood, and it stands as a record so that years from now, people could still come back and be like, well, how did we progress over time? Because that information will inform us the next time we do it. So above any of the actual measures, it's how do we actually communicate them for me.
Thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, it's making the comprehensive plan just came out again, a new one, and the city planner did a fantastic job on that. Changed a few things, made it a whole lot easier to understand. Made it simpler for the contractors who come in and want to look at doing something. They know exactly where they stand on a lot of the issues, the setbacks, the yards that they need, and uh, I think we're going in the right step with that. It's definitely a big improvement from the comprehensive plan we had before. Um, to continue to make it simple, to keep it organized, to keep communication open with absolutely everybody is the key. Don't be, talking to everybody and telling one person one thing and then somebody something else. It is communication to the T. And if you don't know, I think the wisest thing to do is just step back and say, "Hey, I'll find that out for you." I personally don't want to give them the wrong information because it does ruffle a few feathers. And I think in a small town, that is critical. The bigger cities, they have their issues too, but in a small town, we have our share too. But if we could eliminate them and keep communication going, that would be the key.
Thank you. Okay, so now closing statements. Candidate Rich Postma, we're going to start with you. You have 1 minute.
Closing statement. Well, yeah. What can you say at the end of a bunch of topics? But um, I feel the city has been doing a fantastic job with what we are doing. We are limited to what we can do, so it does make it tough for everybody. It makes it tough for the city, the people that live here. They have their questions. They'd like answers. The council has questions. We would like answers, and it's just yeah, constantly being updated and being correct on everything we do. I've lived here all my life now, so uh, I really like to see the city thrive and continue to be a prosperous little town that everybody loves to come to because of the small town feel. And they're happy here. I mean, they seem to be comfortable and they enjoy the neighborhoods. And yeah,
Thank you.
I guess that's about it.
That's it in a nutshell. Candidate Brett Egbert, you're closing.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I want to make clear is, I'm doing this and I'm running and I'm trying to get involved because honestly, I just like living here. I want to be involved. I'm not coming in with, a problem I'm looking to solve, or Rich, I'm coming for your position. I'm here because I saw what he was doing. I saw what community council is doing, and I thought I want to do my part and I want to contribute. So first, I just want to make it absolutely clear, Rich, I signed up for 2 because number 2 was available. I really appreciate the direction you all are going. I'm just looking to get in on it. I want to help. I'm in the opposite spectrum. Rich has been here his whole life. I moved here in 2020. I've lived all over, like 8 or 9 different states, and this place feels different and special. I did not think I was a small town person until I moved here. The high school I taught at is double the population of this town. I didn't realize that this was my thing until I moved here. I love the city. I'm looking to contribute. I just want to be involved.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I want to thank both of you for being here today and for your interest in running for public office. I think it takes real courage to do something like this. Voters can find more information about the candidates in the voter pamphlet that will be mailed by the Whatcom County Auditor's Office. Ballots will be mailed out on October 15th. Your ballot must be postmarked or in a ballot drop box before 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Please remember to sign the ballot envelope, and if you're mailing it by the Postal Service, please mail early to make sure it gets in on time. Voter registration information, including change of address and printing lost ballots, is available at votewa.gov. So with that, thank you very much. Happy voting, everyone. And I hope it's a really strong show of voters. So good luck, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.